I'm not talking about a small business owner, or a shopkeeper, or a bar owner, somebody who works very hard to be a pillar of their community. This capitalism of small family-owned stores or inventors tinkering around in their garages, it sounds romantic, but that's not the capitalism that we face today in 2017. When I speak about capitalism, I'm talking about a system where a small group of billionaires in lower Manhattan can push a computer key or move a mouse, and in the process make more money than any of us will ever see in our entire lives. In our economy today, human beings are working together in a more well-organized and efficient way than ever before in history. And yet for every hamburger that is sold, or every product that is churned out and transported, all we workers get is wages. Because they have a sheet of paper, a certificate of ownership, that says that they're the owners. The capitalists make profits. Under capitalism, all the major commanding heights of economic power, the big box stores, the factories, the banks, they're all the product of capitalists. Capitalists own them, and they operate them for the purpose of making profits for themselves. If you look at a lot of the problems we're having today in the 21st century, you can look at capitalism as the source of the problem. Today, we're not dealing with these great men who invent new computer systems. The more powerful and the wealthy the capitalists are, the further away from any useful work that they are. The billionaires who run the world today are monopolists. They are globalist financial autocrats. A lot of the rightists will say, well, this isn't real capitalism. And in a way, they're right. We no longer live in the era of robber baron, captains of industry, and tycoons. Today, we live in the era of imperialism, capitalism in its monopoly stage. This is the age of bankers teaming up with governments to rule the entire planet and rake in super profits from every corner of the globe. Capitalism is a society based on profits. Because the centers of economic power are controlled by capitalists, nothing gets done unless a capitalist can make profits from doing it. Rationality and reason is thrown out the door, and the primitive selfish drive of a few people to make money takes charge, steering the ship of civilization toward disaster. Today we've got a prison industrial complex. A lot of capitalists have figured out that locking people in jail is a great way to make money. Furthermore, we're always having wars, militarism, war is happening all the time, and war is another way that capitalists can make a lot of profits. The military-industrial complex is not a myth. But war is about more than that. The bankers of Western Europe and North America sit at the center of a global financial empire, and they are ready to beat down and destroy any competitor that emerges. And let me be clear, they aren't making the world a better place. The Wall Street monopolists are keeping the world poor and spreading chaos so that they can stay rich. Take a look at Africa. The most prosperous African country up until 2011 was Libya. The Islamic Socialist government led by Muammar Gaddafi, they used the oil profits to build universities and schools and education. In 2011, that was destroyed by rebels and terrorists backed by the United States and NATO cruise missiles. That country was destroyed. And now things have gotten so bad in Libya, now that the international capitalists have sunk their fangs into the country, things are so bad that people are putting themselves onto rafts and fleeing to Europe trying to get out of Libya. Look at Iraq. Look at Afghanistan. Look at what's happening in Syria as the USA funds terrorist rebels and extremists trying to topple the secular nationalist government. The planet now faces a crisis of mass migration. In the new high-tech, for-profit economy, millions of workers no longer have a place in the assembly line, and they roam, desperate for work. They roam the planet. So what's the answer? How do we move forward? Well, I would say it's that time of the millennium once again. The hour has come for a new social order. Profits must no longer be allowed to rule. Popular power and human reason, not the irrationality of markets, must assume control. The major centers of economic power must become public property. The public must be mobilized, and the horrors of the present epoch can be overcome with a centrally planned economy. Now let's get our definitions straight. Socialism is a centrally planned economy. It's an economy in which the major industries and major banks are under public control, and there is a central plan, and profits are not put into control of the economy. Now, according to the Marxist theory, after thousands of years, the advances in technology created by socialism will ultimately give rise to the ideal of communism, which is a society with vast material abundance in which no state or coercion is necessary. Okay, so there's some people who are sitting back and saying, wow, Caleb, that's great. Why don't you go give a philosophy course on that? We're all so blown away. Well, what does that actually mean for you is the question. What would socialism in the United States look like? Well, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know how to do magic. I can't predict the future. But I can give you an idea of what it might look like. Right now, our country is in shambles. Bridges are decaying. Highways are crumbling. Hospitals are being shut down and schools are being closed. Yet, at the same time, we are sitting on a gold mine. All over our country, we have millions of young people. The millennial generation is arguably the most educated and skilled generation in American history. So many young people with so much to offer the world are stuck in low-wage, short-term jobs, living in their parents' basements. A revolutionary socialist government in Washington, D.C. would immediately unleash them. With the money now being spent on military adventurism, corporate bailouts, and foreign aid to criminal regimes and other wasteful endeavors, a new socialist government would immediately hire every American between the age of 18 and 30. They would begin building high-speed trains, paving new highways, along with revamping the country's hospitals and rebuilding our schools and universities. The next generation would be put to work restoring our national parks and natural wonders. The country would also get a high-tech upgrade. There's no reason that every inch of this country shouldn't have accessible, high-quality Wi-Fi. Our university system could be revamped, so we once again start churning out the most brilliant and most well-trained engineers and scientists in the world. A socialist regime in Washington, D.C. would immediately hire the physicists of the country to start working on the development of fusion energy. Our engineers would start making breakthroughs in artificial intelligence. Capitalism will do none of this. With the market, we have millions of people in prison and poverty, with a few smarter people figuring out derivative rip-offs and financial schemes. But what the market is unable to do can be done with popular power. And of course, the question that always gets thrown at us is, who's going to pay for all of this, right? Well, in addition to the untapped potential of the millennial generation, right now we are sitting on yet another gold mine. Right now, the United States is the top oil and natural gas producing country on Earth. However, you would never know it. In fact, a lot of the states with extreme amounts of poverty, Louisiana, Texas, Pennsylvania, they're some of the wealthiest in terms of natural resources. Our country is very wealthy in terms of natural resources, but we don't get any share of this wealth. We get poorer every day as the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Kochs, and the Morgans are getting rich from our natural resources. Well, I say it's about time that we say that there's no reason that America's oil, America's natural gas, America's timber, America's coal shouldn't be used to make America a more prosperous country. There's nothing special about the Wall Street class. You and me have just as much right to the oil and natural gas under the ground as the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. There's no moral or logical reason that the proceeds from our natural resources shouldn't be used to build a new America. Furthermore, I think that transitioning towards socialism would probably include some amendments to our Constitution. In addition to protecting the right of free speech, the right of freedom of religion, and the right to bear arms, I think we need a new Bill of Rights declaring that every citizen has the right to a job. Every person should have the right to do useful work in order to build up the country and get paid for the labor that they do. It doesn't matter whether some capitalist can make money off of hiring you. Furthermore, I think every American should have the right to see a doctor when they're sick. The insurance cartels, the pharmaceutical criminals should be put out of business. Nothing as precious as human life should be left in the hands of profiteers. Socialism is not about poverty. It's not about going back to nature and dancing around in the woods. Socialism in the Soviet Union brought us space travel. 100 years ago, Russia was a country of illiterate peasants. Today, it's a world industrial power.